Holy bejesus. Did you know that us Brits might soon be eligible for asylum in the US? Yes, us poor, oppressed British people could claim refugee status in the US. Holy bejesus, is that even an expression? Does anyone actually say that? I would have opened with something far more profane, but apparently you cannot start a YouTube video with such language. So whether people say it or not, I'm saying it, holy bejesus. But check out this headline. Trump could offer refugee status to Europeans who oppose migration. US President advised to prioritize those who have been targeted for peaceful expression of views online. So what is he talking about here? This whole conversation about British people seeking refuge in the US for political persecution because we are all being persecuted by our dear leader Keir Starmer, or Starlick as he's now known. Starlick the Dalek. Those of you who are old enough to remember Doctor Who will know what I'm talking about. We do not tolerate offensive language. If you share tweets with hurty words, you will be exterminated. Exterminate, exterminate. Yes, the threat of being exterminated is very real here in the UK for anybody who dares to speak their mind online. But back to how this was brought to Trump's attention, because in April, at one of his press briefings, Winston Marshall, who is a former member of the band Mumford & Sons, and now an outspoken right-wing advocate of free speech, he said this.
In Britain, we have had over a quarter of a million people issued non-crime hate incidents. As we speak, there are people in prison for quite literally reposting memes. We have extensive prison sentences and for tweets, social media posts, and general free speech issues. Would the Trump administration consider political asylum for British citizens in such a situation?
Well, to your latter question, it's a very good one. I have not heard that proposed to the president, nor have I spoken to him about that idea, but I certainly can and talk to our national security team and see if it's something the administration would entertain.
So yeah, the lovely young lady did actually raise this with her boss, Donald, and now we Europeans could potentially be offered asylum in the US. And Winston mentioned NCHIs. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, it stands for non-crime hate incidents. So these are cases where anybody in the general public is offended by something that you've said online, and the police can lodge a non-crime hate incident or an NCHI against your name as a result of this being reported. And these NCHIs can be seen by potential employers in the recruitment process. So this is a huge infringement of our freedoms. And the worst part is that it's not even legal, because you're not breaking any laws by committing an NCHI because they are non-crime hate incidents. It's basically Orwellian thought policing of hurty words. And there are 13,000 a year. 13,000 NCHIs are being lodged every year against British people. And this is valuable police resource that is not being used on keeping our streets safe. Like, do they really have that much time on their hands? Is there really that little crime in our country that they can pursue offensive tweets? And to give you a better perspective on just how bad the situation is here in the UK, check out this video.
Countries with the highest numbers of arrests for online comments in 2023. Hungary is at 10. Okay, you know what? Maybe it was like a death threat, right? You made a death threat on someone, you were arrested. Okay, Azerbaijan, which is probably not the most democratic country, is 13. Saudi Arabia, which is definitely not the most democratic country, is at 15. Egypt, 20. Vietnam, 45. The US with 340 million people, 50, right? So on and so forth. We get to the United Kingdom. Guess how many?
Tell us.
12,183 arrests for online comments in 2023. That is twice the amount of Belarus, a dictatorial authoritarian regime, at 6,205, more than China at 1,500, more than Russia. We love to say Russia, they're mean, they're bad, Putin's a dictator. Only 400 in Russia. Russia seems like a free speech heaven compared to the United Kingdom.
So why on earth does Western media bang on endlessly about the lack of freedom in Russia and China, when the UK is far worse? 屌你冇臭閪！屌你老母臭閪 DLLMCH, or DLLMCH as we say in Cantonese. It's an offensive statement that you can get away with. 屌你老母臭閪 is one of the most popular expressions in the Cantonese language, and let's just say it involves your mother and a particular course of action and a malodorous body part which used to define womanhood, but according to the left, no longer does. And if you'd like to support my work, you can cop one of these or any of the t-shirts, sweatshirts and hoodies that I've designed personally. All of my merch is available in my shop, Donny Wong's, and the link is in my bio. Thank you. But yeah, Donald Trump could be our great savior, not only of the US, but of Europe, because Brits and other Europeans may soon be able to apply for refugee status. And the irony of it is that while Europe has been flooded with economic migrants, you know, all those fighting age young men from around the world, we, the genuinely persecuted Brits, can claim asylum in the US, and it's like a swap, effectively. But I would go a step further and propose a formal refugee exchange program. And I think I should get in touch with the Trump administration and float this idea. And I'm talking about all the American libtards who don't want to live in the US anymore under Trump. We can swap them with all the far-right Europeans who don't want to live under our European dictators. You know, like Cher, you remember? She was saying that if Trump gets in, she would leave the US, and we're still waiting. We've got space for you here, Cher. Like Ellen DeGeneres, she came here, didn't she? She actually stuck to her word and left. And so, you know, potentially all the woke left Americans who believe that people should be imprisoned for hurty words and that misgendering and racial pattern recognition, which is now called racism, that these things should be illegal. We here in the UK have your utopia. If you believe in extreme authoritarianism for the common good, come live in the UK and you can have your utopia alongside the jihadists. Meanwhile, European conservatives and libertarians, who are now called far right, can move to America and we can reclaim the Wild West. What do you think, Americans? Would you be up for doing a swap? Exchange all your libtards for European freedom lovers? Let me play you a short video from a fellow European who shares my views as he reacts to the news of US asylum.
Donald Trump is opening the doors for European asylum seekers that are tired of how the EU is being run. So, us Norwegians, Swedes and Danish can finally escape these corrupt governments, high taxes and bad vibes. And escape to the land of the free, America. I'm already starting to feel kind of American, I'm telling you right this now here, boy, out in Texas. Yeehaw, woo!
I'm coming to America. Ow! Going back to Cali. But seriously, I remember so fondly living for 6 months in LA back in the mid-90s. It was bliss. It was so chill back then. Before the entire West Coast went retarded, the almost so. But if we do this refugee exchange that I'm proposing, we freedom-loving Europeans can bring back the old Cali. Imagine if a generation of British ex-ravers wash up on your shores and we could create Summer of Love 26. Meanwhile, all your leftists out there protesting, all those no kings protesters, who, ironically, they're protesting against a democratically elected president who's just fulfilling the promises he made to his voters. It doesn't make sense, does it? Because what they really want is a king. They don't want a president. They don't want democracy. They want King Charles. They will love him. And I guarantee they will love living here in the UK in this woke utopian caliphate. Anyway, what do you think? Do you like my idea? Would you get behind this proposal? Do let me know in the comments. Or do you think I'm talking out my ass? I don't mind either way. And please do give this video a like and a share. And if you're not already doing so, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.